What if the world feels ordinary not because magic disappeared, but because we stopped believing in it? What if giants still stand on the horizon, and castles still wait beyond the hills, and heroic quests still call to those willing to answer them? More than 400 years ago, the Spanish writer Miguel de Cervantes imagined a man who refused to accept that wonder had vanished from the earth. He looked at his world and saw routine where there should have been adventure, comfort where there should have been courage, and cynicism where there should have been honor. So he made a decision that would change literature forever. If the age of knights was gone, he would restore it. If the world had forgotten heroism, he would remind it. This is the story of Don Quixote, published in 1605, a novel that began as a satire of medieval romance and slowly became something much larger. It became a story about illusion and dignity, about imagination and reality, and about what it costs to believe in something when everyone else has stopped. Before the armor, before the windmills, before the laughter, there is a man sitting alone with his books, reading late into the night until the stories feel more real than the world outside his door. And once that transformation begins, there is no turning back. In a small village in La Mancha lives a minor nobleman named Alonso Quijano. He is not wealthy, nor especially powerful, but he owns many books of chivalry. These books tell of fearless knights, enchanted fortresses, daring rescues, and glorious quests undertaken for justice and love. He reads constantly. He reads so intensely that the stories begin to reshape his understanding of reality. Gradually, the world around him changes in his mind. Ordinary objects gain epic significance. Everyday events seem charged with destiny. The present moment feels like a fallen version of a more heroic past. Eventually, he concludes that the age of knights has not ended. It has simply been neglected. He renames himself Don Quixote de la Mancha. He renames his aging farm horse Rocinante. He chooses a peasant woman from a nearby village and transforms her through imagination alone into the noble lady Dulcinea. He repairs an old suit of armor. He takes up a lance. He rides out to restore honor to a world that in his view has forgotten it. Almost immediately, reality pushes back. An inn becomes a castle in his imagination, and the innkeeper becomes a lord who must formally knight him. The ceremony is improvised and awkward, yet Don Quixote accepts it as confirmation of his destiny. Soon he encounters a line of towering windmills turning in the open plain. To him, they are giants with enormous arms. To everyone else, they are machines. His new companion, a farmer named Sancho Panza, begs him to reconsider. Sancho sees clearly what stands before them. Don Quixote lowers his lance and charges. He is struck down violently. The windmill does not yield. The ground is hard. The pain is real. Yet defeat does not correct his vision. Instead, he decides that an enchanter has transformed the giants into windmills at the last moment to rob him of glory. When reality contradicts him, he rewrites reality. Sancho Panza follows Don Quixote, not because he shares his illusions, but because he hopes for reward. Don Quixote promises him wealth, honor, and the governorship of an island. Sancho is practical. He speaks in proverbs and thinks about food, comfort, and common sense. Don Quixote speaks in elevated language about destiny and virtue. Together they form one of literature's most enduring partnerships. Sancho sees inns, flocks of sheep, and taverns. Don Quixote sees castles, armies, and sacred trials. Their conversations create the heart of the novel. One represents imagination and aspiration. The other represents realism and survival. Over time, something unexpected develops. Despite confusion and frustration, Sancho grows loyal. He does not abandon his master, even when humiliation becomes frequent. Don Quixote's adventures multiply, and so do his defeats. He mistakes flocks of sheep for enemy armies and attacks them, only to be beaten by shepherds. He frees a group of chained criminals, believing them to be unjustly oppressed knights, and they repay him by robbing him. People begin to laugh openly. Some mock him cruelly. Others take advantage of him for entertainment. In one of the novel's most elaborate sequences, a duke and duchess invite Don Quixote and Sancho to their estate after having read about his exploits. They stage fake magical events and false prophecies in order to amuse themselves at his expense. Sancho is granted a mock governorship as part of the joke. Surprisingly, he rules with unexpected fairness and practical wisdom. His decisions reveal more intelligence than his social superiors expected. Through these episodes, Cervantes shifts the satire. The nobles who consider themselves superior appear petty and hollow. Don Quixote, though deluded, remains sincere in his pursuit of justice and dignity. The question quietly emerges: who is truly foolish? During the publication of the novel, an unauthorized sequel to Don Quixote appeared. Cervantes responded by incorporating this fact into his own official continuation. In the second part of the novel, characters have already read the first part of Don Quixote's adventures. Don Quixote becomes famous within his own story. The novel becomes self-aware. This innovation transforms the book into something revolutionary. It is no longer merely a parody of chivalric tales. It becomes a reflection on authorship, reputation, identity, and the power of narrative itself. Don Quixote is not only battling imagined giants, he is confronting the unstable boundary between fiction and reality. Eventually, Don Quixote is challenged by a knight known as the Knight of the White Moon. This knight is actually a friend in disguise, determined to force him to abandon his wandering. They duel. Don Quixote is defeated decisively. According to the terms of the contest, he must return home and give up knight-errantry for a year. For the first time, his dream meets an undeniable boundary. He returns to his village quieter than before. Back home, Don Quixote falls ill. As he approaches death, something changes within him. The illusions that once sustained him begin to dissolve. He renounces the books of chivalry. He reclaims his original name, Alonso Quijano. He acknowledges that he has been living in a dream. Sancho pleads with him not to abandon the quest. Sancho, who once doubted everything, now urges him to believe again. But Don Quixote chooses clarity. He dies not as a knight riding toward glory, but as a man who once believed the world could be nobler than it seemed. On its surface, Don Quixote is a comedy about a man who mistakes windmills for giants. Beneath the humor lies a deeper question. Is it foolish to believe in honor in a cynical world? Is imagination a weakness, or is it a form of resistance? Don Quixote fails repeatedly. He is beaten, mocked, and misunderstood. Yet, for a time, he transforms ordinary landscapes into stages for heroism simply because he insists on seeing them that way. Perhaps the tragedy is not that he dreamed too much. Perhaps the tragedy is that the rest of the world stopped dreaming first.